So it is 5:36, so I'll go ahead and call to order this meeting of the Greenfield Community Preservation Committee. I'll just do a roll call here to establish quorum. I'm going to go down the list on here. Garth is here. Tom is not here. He said he wasn't going to be here. Wisty is here. John is not here. Susan
Here.
Giannis is no longer on the committee, but that's still on our agenda. Donna is here. Travis, I am here, and Dave is not here. So we do have a quorum. We have 5 of us. So luckily we're all here. So first thing on our agenda is public comment. I don't see any members of the public here. If anyone is here, speak up now. All right. No public comments at this meeting. Next is approval of minutes from May 25th, 2023.
I motion to approve the minutes from May 25th, 2023.
Second.
Okay, a motion to approve by Donna, seconded by Susan. Any other discussion on the minutes? All right. I'll just do a roll call vote since we're half here and half not here. Wisty?
Yeah, approve.
Garth?
Yes.
Sorry, I wasn't. Okay. Susan?
Yes.
Donna?
Yes.
All right, and I'm also a yes. So the minutes are approved from May 25th. New business. First on new business is annual public hearing in July. Last year, our public hearing was July 28th, I think, July 20 something. So if we're doing it on the same time frame, that's like a month from now. So we haven't talked about that yet, and I wanted to add that to our agenda.
Thank you.
So I don't know. I mean, I don't know how we want to do it exactly. I mean, last year, it was like part of a meeting, and I think it works that way to do it like first on the agenda as part of a meeting. So then we can do other stuff too. But I have the presentation from last year, and I could work on updating that with, the projects that were approved last year. I don't know if we have clear money estimates for this year, but I mean, basically just a reminder, the public hearing is just to like get input from the public on what the priorities in Greenfield are that we will use for evaluating projects for the next year. So, I mean, we don't have to have like a super in-depth presentation, but I think it's good to like update on what we've done so far. So I don't know if anyone has any thoughts on how we want to do it
Well, we could just do.
or when.
Yeah, well, the how, I don't know about the when, the how, if we just do a short presentation, this is what we did last year. And, I mean, I don't know that we have to do a whole lot more than that. And to say, this is what the previous thing was, we can fund these kinds of projects. We're open to hearing what people think and what they would like to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that I agree with what Susan's saying. And I think that advertising the fact of the meeting, because it seemed like we had fairly good attendance, given that it was our first meeting and everything. I think we should really be mindful of where we advertise and how we do, hopefully getting people in, because now they've kind of seen us and they've had some experience and they might have more direction or more questions and stuff. So I think the big thing is to let people know, because then soon after that, what applications? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, we just lost Garth. We no longer have a quorum.
Just sit here until he comes back.
Yeah, let's wait a second.
All right, come back.
I don't have his phone number or anything, I don't think.
Oh, here he comes.
Oh. Garth, are you back?
Yeah, sorry about that. Apparently my iPad can hold a charge for 3.6 minutes. So here we are.
All right.
Even
so
though
we
it says it
won't-
has 77%, it just decided to shut down. So
All right.
as
Well, we
per
didn't-
usual, everything is going according to chaos and entropy. Onward.
All right. So we just sat here in silence waiting for you to return. So you didn't miss anything. Donna, it looked like maybe you wanted to say something about that public hearing?
Yeah, I was gonna say I also have 72% on my iPad.
Okay.
Nope, I'm good, thanks.
Okay. So I guess, I think we could do the end of next month, like if we start advertising it now and
Yeah.
we have to, what is it, 2 weeks in the newspaper? Is that right?
Yep.
So there's plenty of time to do that.
Yeah, because we'll be looking at the 27th.
Yeah, and John Zahn is free that day right now.
Okay,
And
Yeah.
hold it right now.
So I guess if there are no objections, we'll shoot for that.
sounds good.
And I mean, we can talk about this later in the meeting, but I think we should probably have another meeting before then. Just to like finish up all the other agenda items and get to, where we need to be after the public hearing. But that might be a discussion for later. Okay. If no one has anything else on that,
If it's just going to be the same thing, I don't know if we have to have an extra meeting to say like, we're just going to do a presentation and say, do you like our plan, right?
oh yeah, I meant like maybe not another meeting for the public hearing, but maybe another meeting for all of this other stuff on the agenda, because we had 5 things on the agenda last time and we got to 1. So I'm just thinking, if it takes us as long as it did last time, we might be running out of time. That's what I'm feeling. So,
Gotcha, yeah.
but we'll see once we get to the later on in this meeting. Okay, so next under new business is banner signs for project sites. Just a reminder, at the last meeting, it's weird now that our meetings are a month apart. They have been. At our last meeting, we discussed, at this meeting, we would talk about, words to put on signs for banners to have at project sites, and then just go ahead and order those, I guess. So I don't know if I asked people to maybe do some homework and look up. I didn't do it until today, so,
Okay, well, you're ahead of me, so.
all right.
So what did you come up, what did you?
Well, I mean, the easiest thing to do is look on the Community Preservation Coalition's
Right,
website,
right.
and they have a bunch on there. They have signs that are like, your Community Preservation Act dollars at work. And then, it would just say Greenfield, CPC, maybe have the Greenfield logo on it or something. Other ones are like, this project is funded in part by the citizens of Greenfield through the Community Preservation Act. That could be wording. It depends how
Yeah.
formal we want it to be, or like, oh, your dollars are, or like, yeah, or there's one that just says, a town of Greenfield Community Preservation Project. It could be simple like that. So,
I like the idea that people recognize that this is money they provided to make things happen, because it just seems to me that this isn't just another government program. I mean, people have voted for this, and they had the, that it's very specifically, so that kind of, the one where you talked about citizens.
this project is funded in part by the citizens of Greenfield through the Community Preservation Act.
That one feels like it's more connected to what people need to know. Donna's hand is up, though.
Yeah.
So I would agree with what Susan said. When I was thinking about this, the one thing that kept sticking me is the in part, because some of them might be in part and some of them might be completely. So And I don't want to say, well, if you just say this is funded by, then it sounds like we paid for all of it. But if you want to be able to use the banner again, you've got to have some sort of green term. That's all
Yeah.
I want.
And I've seen the ones around that says, like, thank you, town name, your CPA dollars at work, right? So it
Yeah.
doesn't have to be a specific, like, we funded all of it, we funded 2% of it, we funded 70% of it. It's just a, it's generic enough, but it is on the funding side, but it's specific enough on the, like, what's funding, who's funding
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah, I still feel like people don't know what this program is yet. And because they don't know, it's important for them to understand that this isn't ARPA money. This isn't money that kind of comes down from on high. And, folks then say, oh, good, we have extra money in the till and we put it to this, which I like. But this is much more like, this is what people have decided there's a community process, just that there's some kind of community connection to it, I think makes much more sense.
Yeah, I like what,
Did you say Garth?
yeah,
Sorry, you cut out for a second.
yeah.
What did you say, Garth?
A lot of them would just say, like, thank you, Greenfield, your CPA dollars at work.
That's good, I like that.
I mean, you could put the
Good.
city seal up there, or
Yeah, I could even say like, thank you, citizens of Greenfield,
Yep,
I don't know.
Yeah.
If we wanted it to
yeah,
directly tie into.
yeah, I like that.
And we could have different sign designs too. I mean, maybe right now we just want to, pick something.
I think we want to slap something together and get it done.
Yeah, and then there's also, I don't think we need to worry about this right now, but if there were any like permanent signage, I know Christian's been working on language to go in like grant agreements and basically saying like, if they decide to put something about the funding source permanently, then it would include that part of it was CPA funded.
Yeah, I can actually read this small section just while we're talking about signs. So the section is called Community Preservation Act Awareness. And it reads, upon commencement of the project, grantee agrees to post in an appropriate location mutually acceptable to the parties, a temporary sign provided by the CPC, so what you guys are talking about, stating that the project was funded through the City of Greenfield CPA Act. Grantee shall also identify that the project was funded through the City of Greenfield Community Preservation Act and its written materials about the project, including press releases, brochures, etc. Grantee must acknowledge CPA funding if the grantee chooses to install a permanent sign or other form of public display acknowledging project funding sources and benefactors. So covers both temporary and if they do a permanent.
But not mandating permanent
Yeah.
signage.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think the only thing I maybe would change is CPA Act.
Oh, I just misread that.
Oh, okay, okay, yeah.
I misread it. Like, wait, did I read it wrong? No, actually.
Yeah.
I just read it wrong right now. So that's okay.
Okay. Okay, so,
So we're thinking about a banner, right?
yeah, like a banner.
Okay,
Yeah.
and so for
Like-
some things that aren't, like big banner stuff, there might be some projects that just by nature of them,
Those little like lawn signs.
something, yeah.
yes,
Maybe we could get some lawn signs and some banners and then, decide project by project. Cause like he said, it's like mutual agreed upon. So
right,
Yeah.
right.
and talk to them and see what would work best.
Sounds like a plan to me.
Okay. So, it sounded like the language we wanted was something like, thank you, citizens of Greenfield.
Your CPA dollars at work.
Or, yeah, your Community Preservation Act dollars at work. I wouldn't say CPA.
Yeah, I guess it's
Right,
reservation.
got it.
Yeah. It's a little long, but if it's like a banner, it'll be
Yeah.
easy to read.
Yeah, it can be done.
Hey, so remind me,
Yeah.
did we fund the $1,000 industrial?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, so like that you couldn't put a lawn sign in or a big banner, you know.
Yeah.
Honestly,
It would be nice to have something there though.
yeah,
Yeah.
we can figure out something with them. I like that, like the permanent thing is just like mutually acceptable or whatever. It's just like
Yeah.
we can just figure it out.
Yeah.
And also like the documents at the Historical Society.
Right.
There's not like a big, I mean, they could put a sign out front that says like your dollars at work, and then you'd have to go in and ask them what was being done.
Right.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, you wouldn't have to see what's being done for the sign there.
But it's kind of nice to know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if the, you know, if the Museum of Industrial Heritage, right, if that item is gonna be in a room, you know, possibly with a little like plaque next to it saying what it is, if there's not a, you know, docet there at the time, right? And if it could say like restoration of this, you know, such and such item was, you know, funded by the, you know, by the city CPA in 2023 or FY 2022, or, you know, whichever we were on at that point.
Or 2023.
Yeah, and that would fall into that optional permanent signage part of it. Donna?
Yeah, so one of the things that Christian mentioned was some sort of acknowledgement on, I don't know, press, social media, those sorts of things. I mean, it would seem that if they're going to like highlight something on the website, and I'm thinking of the like the Historical Society, you know, if they're going to put things, you know, if they're going to digitize the documents, or if they're going to announce that the documents are available to people to look at, that would be another place. Like if you are going to, you know, advertise this thing, sort of include it. And I'm not sure, I tried to take down what you were saying, Christian, but it was kind of fast. What was the piece about acknowledgement in other areas?
Yeah, so it says grantee shall also identify that the project was funded through the City of Greenfield Community Preservation Act and its written materials about the project, including press releases, brochures, et cetera.
Okay.
There's a, you know, like the Mass Cultural Council requires that there be something on everything that you send out that says, you know, that they funded things. It seems to me that we don't have to be that crazy about it, but something, if there is a public announcement, there should be something said about it.
And
That
if
sounds like that's covered.
yeah.
So for the signs and stuff, Christian, like procedurally, can you order those and then we vote afterwards to approve the funds to pay for that?
Yeah, that can get, we did technically do one sign. You guys have a Community Preservation Act committee sign.
Yeah.
It was from Staples. I'll pretty much do the exact same thing except for just different wording on it.
Okay,
Cool.
that sounds good. So if there are no objections, we'll go forward with that plan, and maybe I'll communicate with Christian if, you know, on how it looks or something, if he wants a second look.
Yep.
Okay, great. So we will have banners and signs for our projects. So next on our agenda is old business. First is fiscal year 23 project updates. Are there any updates at this point?
I have a decent amount
All right.
to share. So for your most recently approved projects, I've been working on the grant agreements. So there's a kind of a nuance here. So for the nonprofits, so like the museum, CSO, it's called a grant agreement. I've been working on a draft of those. But then the ones that are for Christie municipal projects, it's technically different. It's a memorandum of agreement. So there's two different ones. I've been working on drafts of those. I sent those to the mayor's chief of staff to send to the city attorney to review those today. So those are moving along in the process. And then there's gonna be two other kind of major documents that are involved with these most recent projects. The historic preservation restriction for the fairgrounds project. They had one pretty recently, so they're working on a draft based on this new project. they'll send that to me. I'll work on that with the city staff. And then for the Well Street project, there should be an affordable housing restriction. But fortunately, they have a whole bunch of other funding sources that are gonna require even stricter affordable housing restrictions. So those will be pretty much adequate for CPA purposes. So when they get those signed, they'll forward them to us, and that can act in place of one that was with the city of Greenfield or CPA itself. Let's see. The mayor's office and Christie are working on a memo to finally confirm that the land adjacent to Beacon Park is officially under the control of the rec department. That was still technically up in the air for a while, but Travis did a bunch of research. They couldn't find it, but Travis found it. There's in the deeds and stuff. He found it where it actually officially said who it belonged to, and it was to the park commissioners, which is now the rec commission and the rec department. So that is getting sorted out. A while ago, I think back in October, all of you voted on a disbursement policy for actually paying the funds out. That'll be for the nonprofits. There's also in my grant agreements, there's a version that'll be for your municipal finance department is reviewing those right now. I'm working on that with them. And my last update, which is also kind of a question, in the meeting that me, Travis, and Garth had with Stuart, I think, what was that, December?
Something like that.
He
Yeah.
suggested for the Historical Society project and the Museum of Our Industrial Heritage project to have some kind of agreement or language with them that kind of confirms that the resources will continue to be available and accessible to the citizens of Greenfield. Like they can't work on these and digitize them or whatever, but then it's just like, it's just theirs. Or the museum works on and restores the thing, but then it goes back into their archive.
Or they sell it.
Or they sell it.
Yeah.
Like, and that would be essentially municipal funds that were at one time worked out, but then at the end of the day, it's no longer useful to the citizens of Greenfield. So I'm wondering how people feel about that, what kind of things we could request from those two organizations to kind of, I think what did he call it? Like protecting the public benefit is the way to think about it.
And I know, so what I remember is he said a couple ways to do that, or like to say that they have to be like publicly available a certain number, or like the museum has to be open a certain number of times per year for the public to, be able to access it or whatever. Or you could say, another thing is like, if in a X number of years, like they have to like, maintain these things publicly available for X number of years. And if they don't, or if they were to go under financially, then ownership would revert to the city.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's, yeah, I think
I mean, and I think we mentioned that in the meeting and they were like, oh, that we don't expect that to happen.
Right.
So it probably wouldn't be too concerning to them to say like, well, as long as you guys don't go bankrupt in the next 10 years, like it's fine. But if you do, then the city would own it. I don't know.
I think that's fine.
So yeah, so within the next 10 years, if for some reason,
I don't remember how many years he said.
I think the biggest thing is like we can put that in the MOA or the grant agreement. It's just what's up to snuff, like legally, like when our city attorney reviews it, like how does that, is that really that binding if it's just in this grant agreement? So
I guess it should be, right?
yeah, but then there's like higher level things like a deed restriction, but you can't deed restrict documents. So I don't know if there's a higher level version for like something like that. Cause like you basically you guys are talking about like taking property from an organization. And maybe it is just as easy as putting in the grant agreement, or it could potentially be more complicated. I'm just not sure.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it would be in the grant agreement if there were other liens. Like, right, it would be the court or whomever would be sorting out like who got what, right? If they owed, 50 grand on their mortgage, and we had a lien on their, because of a $10,000 grant on some work that was done, right? I'm guessing the bank would get first whack at anything that was getting, liquidated, and they may just like seize everything and try to sell it off. Maybe we'd have a case be like, oh, but actually that chunk is due to the city because of our previous grant kind of thing. But I'm guessing that would get sorted out in a slightly messy courtroom thing.
Well, and so another thing, I'm looking at an example, a Dartmouth grant agreement, and they had a clause in there about like if the grant agreement is terminated pursuant to provisions, blah, 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 any funds granted to the recipient, that says a not yet expended shall be returned.
Yeah, that pretty much exact same language is in mine, but that's like, once the project's done,
Yeah.
that part of it is kind of done.
I thought that was for, yeah, that's.
Yeah, I don't think we can ask for the money back, if they go bankrupt in the next.
Yeah, they're not gonna have the money.
Right, but I do think that the question of, in these two cases, because it's historical materials that are related to the city of Greenfield, that something which says that these things cannot be sold, that they must be returned to the city. That would make more sense, because that takes it out of the bankruptcy scenario that Garth was just talking about.
I think maybe the language could be, by signing this agreement, you won't sell them, and that you will make your best attempt to make them available, at least by appointment or something.
Yeah,
Just
to the citizens of Greenfield,
Some
yeah.
better, more specific language
Yeah.
than what I just said, but like just those two things, you can't sell them with,
Right.
maybe you could sell them, but with permission of the city, and also make sure you're making them available to people.
Yeah, I think that would,
And I think that would probably work in a grant agreement. That wouldn't be too high level, like taking documents back.
right. I think that makes sense.
Does that sound good to everybody?
All right,
All right.
let me write that down. So cannot sell without permission.
So Christian, when you mentioned about dispersal, does that have to do with like when the people receive money, like before or after they purchase?
1 second.
Sure.
Yeah, so all of you voted back in October to follow Northampton's, and it's basically just the procedures that we'll follow for actually giving the money to the organizations, which for the most part is either, if it's a small enough one, you do all the work and request a reimbursement at the end, or for some of the larger ones, you do like I think it's like a third and a third, where you reach a certain point, you've expended a third of the funds, you can show us the receipts and we'll send you the money. You're 2/3 done, we give you the next third, and then at the end, you submit your final report and you get the last third. I think that's how it was.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay. That sound good? Are we good on that
Yep.
point?
Yep,
And that was all my updates.
Okay.
thank you.
Yeah, as we go forward through the years, it's going to get a lot more complicated with old project updates and new projects coming on.
Yeah.
We'll have to figure out how to organize all that going forward, but not yet. Okay, so next on the agenda, we have evaluating committee processes. And this is basically what we spent our entire last meeting doing. And so we have five things on the list there: applications, scoring sheets, community review / deciding which projects to fund, outreach, and schedule / timing. So last time we did applications, I don't know if anyone, I think we kind of like reached an agreement on the pre-app and application updates. I don't know if anyone had any thoughts after that they wanted to bring up, or can we move on to scoring sheets?
I think we can move on, personally.
Yeah, I think so too. Okay.
That seems good.
All right, so scoring sheets. Did we start on? No, I don't think we started on scoring sheets.
No.
Yeah. Christian, you sent me an editable.
Yeah, I don't know if you wanted to share your screen or if you wanted me to.
Yeah, I guess if you have it, I gotta remember where I put it.
Well, while we're waiting to find it,
Yes.
I want to say, in process, it was sometimes a pain in the neck to fill that out. But I so appreciated having numbers and having something to be able to look at for comparison. So for me, again, the process was a little laborious, but I really like the use of the outcome.
Okay.
Yeah,
I do
I think all Kristen's various analyses of, you know, where we were on average and how things compared and, you know, outliers and everything. I found that super helpful, right? Because we could have just a bunch of numbers or even just like, oh, on average,
There we go.
like 4K, but knowing what the range was, knowing how we did relative to other things.
Yeah.
I thought that was all super valuable when we were evaluating projects.
I agree, and it's going to make me even more cautious in filling them out.
Because you've seen what the end result is like. Yeah. All right. Well, we can go through this, and Garth and Donna, you're gonna have to speak up because I can only see one of you at a time. So if you have your hand up, I won't see it. So
Okay. It's Donna. I'm speaking up.
All
I would add that, I don't think that we need section 1 at all. Like we kind of all like went through, it's like, did they have a pre-application? Was it received by the deadline? I feel like that should be some sort of, there should be some sort of like vetting of that, like in advance, so that we all know that everything that we looked at has made the primary qualifications.
Yeah, I agree.
Yep.
I
and
tend to just skip that.
and these weren't
Figured I was
even.
looking at it if it made it past that.
Yeah, and these are, that's not even scoring yet. That's just
Right.
like check marks. So we didn't look at any data on that. It was just.
But I mean, if we assume that in order for an application to get to us, there must be a pre-application, because we're not going to accept anything if there's not a pre-application.
Yeah.
And the pre-application has to be in on time. If those are givens, then we don't need to have them checked off. I mean, it's not a big deal to check them off. It's just, I think it's unnecessary.
Yeah, I think on all of them, all of you just checked them off or just left them blank because you're like,
Yeah, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, maybe this is more of like an internal checklist, like if it's going to be reviewed by us, it has to meet all these things.
Yeah, right.
So I'll just delete section 1. Wait, I don't know, track changes on it.
I think you,
wait, Donna,
Done more than-
Donna and Garth, you can see the screen, right? The sharing screen.
No, I can't see the screen.
Garth, can you? Oh, you're muted, Garth.
Yeah, you're muted.
I think you might have to join the Zoom and then share your screen via Zoom. Plug into the HDMI.
It's not sharing it
It's not sharing it out.
for us.
Point, because you can see viewing locally. I don't think it's actually sharing. to the Zoom.
Donna, can you see the projects? Can you see no, you can't. Okay.
I cannot. No, but I can see Garth and I can see you guys. And Garth, he's shaking his head.
Okay.
It
How
is,
about
but I
now?
don't see it.
Can you see it now? Okay.
There's a toggle.
Yes.
Okay. So all I did was I deleted section 1 here
Okay.
and I removed that. So I guess we can just go through these and see if we want to reword any of these or get rid of them or add more.
Okay.
So in function, we have number one, meets goals and objectives laid out in current in current master plan and open space and recreation plan. And then we have a 1 to 5, not included, but has creative solutions or explicitly called for. I think that one's fine. Unless I hear otherwise. I'll just keep reading these and if anyone has anything.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
All right, so number 2 is multiple funding
It
sources.
should probably be an or in there, because those are separate. but I
Sorry,
don't
it should be
think-
what?
Instead of
Like the-
and, I
The
think.
master plan or the open space and recreation plan,
Oh, yeah.
right, because they're,
And or.
yeah. Uh,
All right, so number 2 is multiple funding sources. And it ranges from 1, none, 3, 25%, 5, 50% or more. I think that one was reasonable.
Yeah, I like that one.
So that's all we had for function. And then value, number 1, overall application quality and urgency of project. Number 1, no rush. 3, sooner the better. 5, once in a generation opportunity. That one's probably fine. 2, community support. I wonder if, on community support, I kind of wonder if it should be more like demonstrated community support.
I was just thinking the same thing.
Because there might be community support, but if they don't show us the community
Right.
support, it's hard.
Okay,
Right,
yeah.
You know
yeah.
what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
either people at our, we could, if people were at our meetings before we were scoring, or if they sent us all these letters from citizens. But if they don't show us that, like,
Right.
I would feel bad saying none community
Right.
support, but
So we really have to be clear to the applicants that that's important.
yeah. And I think, I mean, we can talk about that, I guess, when we're in the like pre-app stage. But I think with like the full application, they get this scoring sheet too, right? Do they get a copy of that? Like, this is how you're going to be graded?
Yes, they did get a copy of that at one point.
So they should see this.
Right,
And like,
right.
if they
So
want
it-
high scores, hit all these.
You know, we should also bring this up in July's meeting
Yeah.
with the community.
Right.
To let the community really know that they do have an impact on,
On helping a project
Yeah.
score higher.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I
So-
think I put pickleball higher than most of the other ones because there was more,
Yeah.
we saw more community support.
So yeah, that was my issue. I didn't see community support for pickleball until later on when we had more meetings. Like when I scored this, there was only
Yeah.
one letter. So I'm wondering, you know, it's like, if we're gonna be doing scoring before we get community feedback, do we need to have this here? Do we make this, the applicant has provided letters and evidence of community support and have it be some sort of a yes, no, or something? I don't know, because pickleball and also the fairgrounds, when we put that applicant, the form out there, you know, I had already scored my project and that's when we got a lot of stuff. So I'm just thinking about the timing there.
Maybe the issue is that we don't submit final, we do, we can do a preliminary scoring for ourselves before the presentation, the community discussion, whatever we call it, the public, I guess, public meeting. But then we don't submit them until after the public meeting.
Well, I think what Donna's saying is that it can be two separate things. Like this can be the applicant's level of showing us community support. And then in our minds, separate from the scoring is what we've seen.
that, was- oh, okay, yeah.
Okay.
So then there was also that, the information that we got from the community giving us, going through that form that Donna had worked on. Which was really important. Again, we really need to stress those things.
Yeah. So maybe, I think Donna was saying, change this to like community support. Oh, this is getting all messed up here. I already have community support.
Applicant
Yeah.
provided evidence of.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Okay, that would take care of it. Okay.
Okay. Number 3, thoroughness of planning. I kind of, so hold on, I'm scrolling ahead to see if something that I'm thinking of is, so I kind of wonder if, for thoroughness of planning, somehow I want to work into this, like, like if there's a project that's submitted, I guess it's thoroughness of planning, but like if a project submits like all these quotes for the work and they have like engineering drawings for like how it could be done and like maps showing where everything is. And then another one, like they have a great idea, but they're like, oh, well, it's just doing this and whatever. Like, how do we word this to emphasize that we want as much like information?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe not as much, like we don't need an overwhelming amount, but clearly showing.
Yeah, this is Donna again. I feel like, when you look at these projects, either you're gonna see quite quickly, oh, these people know exactly how they're gonna do it, or they don't. And I think that that's kind of, what you're trying to get to is like, it's evident that they have planned, it's evident that they have a plan, or it's still in development, or it's still in the, I don't know, a storyboard stage or something.
Yeah, I agree with Donna. I think that there were some projects that they were nice projects, but we saw right away that they weren't quite ready, that they didn't have, that there wasn't a kind of story that they were telling. It was kind of like, this is an idea that I want to do and it would be helpful in this way. I'm thinking particularly of the project with the pond. It was clear that there was some information there, but it wasn't, well, what happens if this happens? Well, how do you deal with erosion? Well, those kinds of things were not there. And it seems to me that we need something that is beyond the level of, this would probably work really well, but it doesn't necessarily have to be, here are all the engineering plans. Because
Quite that.
for a community project, it may not have any engineering plans. It may be something like we've measured, let's say it's a community garden. We've measured it out. We know what, and we haven't decided yet what we're planting in it. So.
Yeah. I wonder, so I'm wondering for maybe for number 1, if it was more like project still in early planning stage,
Unless what they're doing is coming to us to ask for fund, how sometimes they need money to be able to hire somebody to come and consult?
do a study or something.
Yeah, so that would be in the early planning stages. So it's tough to know, like.
I mean, maybe we don't change this at all and we just
Well, I
do it
mean,
based on what we think.
and go ahead, Don.
Yeah, it's to some degree, it's vague enough and it'll depend on the project. Right,
Yeah.
if you're gonna do like a major environmental thing or like the Highland Park signage. Right, originally it was like, oh, we're gonna like put up some signs and make a map. And then all of a sudden it was $180,000 or like it was like, oh, well, phase 1, we'll put a bubbler in there in the pond and then we'll figure out what else we should do about it. Or if we should do anything about it. Right, so those were things.
Yeah. Oh, I think Donna, you had something?
Oh, yeah, I mean, it's just, I'm going along the same lines. I almost feel like I want to think about this one a little bit more. But yeah, I think that it gets to what we're trying to get to, but maybe it needs some wordsmithing.
Yeah, yeah. I'm thinking about the tennis court and the drinking fountain. And so they thought that they had a pretty simple idea, but then it was clearly not. But how much would they have investigated that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that wordsmithing or,
Maybe it's just taking out the word complicated and just saying many issues still to be resolved. Because what we're really talking about is how ready are you?
Yeah.
yes, good point.
Okay.
Okay. Well, how about we leave it there for now with complicated and with deleted.
Okay.
So the next one, benefit to the community. Number one, small project benefiting primarily a particular part or population. 3, small to moderate project has limited benefits, but for a significantly underserved population or area. Or 5, project of any size that will be of benefit to the entire community. This one, I kind of feel like it's almost 2 questions merged into one.
I agree.
Because it talks about the size of the project, and then it also talks about like what part of the population is going to be. Like maybe one question should be like size of the project. Is it like a small scale? I mean, but then like, is a big project better than a small project?
Right.
You know?
I think maybe it's.
Take out the size.
Take the size out and say that primarily benefiting part or a population or population, particularly part or population of the community. And then has limited benefits, but for a significantly underserved population or area. And then will be a benefit to the entire community.
I like that.
Yeah, I think that one kind of tripped me up a little.
I
because
had
I'm
a
like-
hard time.
Go ahead, guys.
Sorry, as I had a hard time like scoring this one because, practically by definition, almost nothing is going to be benefiting the entire community. It could, right? If everyone was really excited to go see the machine at the Museum of Industrial Heritage, right? It's a benefit that's available to the entire community. But right, it's like, well, why did you bother to fix the pothole down on Wells Street? I never go down Wells Street. But it's like it's still like helping the entire community, but it gets, I don't know, it just gets.
I think it could be that
pretty fuzzy.
maybe we'll rarely have a project that's a 5 on that question, like maybe most projects are going to be a 1 to a 3.
I do like though what Garth just said when he said available to the whole.
Yeah,
community.
I do too.
Because like the Highland Park things were really good,
Yeah.
but not everybody's going to go, but it would be available.
I think that's what we were trying to do there is there would be some things that might be available to a small population. Part of the discussion we had about the water fountain was that people couldn't find it. It was only going to be available to people who played tennis there. And so it was only going to be available to a limited population in reality. And that was one of our concerns. So it did have, but if it had limited benefits, let's say for people who were disabled, but it's a significantly underserved population, like the ramp I'll call it a ramp, that access point that we put in, that was important because it was an underserved population. So,
But still that would rank lower on this than like a high, that would rank lower than a project in a park in a higher socioeconomic area of town where everyone could go, but maybe
Right.
the people who are going to walk there are, not the, the underserved populations.
yeah,
So
yeah,
that's, I don't know.
right.
It almost seems like maybe it's more like there should be another question that you either get bonus points if it's for an underserved population, or you don't get those bonus points.
That's, okay, I would go,
That might be.
that might be the answer. That might
Like
be,
there could be a question that's either a 0 or a 5, either you're
Yeah.
serving an underserved population or you're not.
right, right. Yeah, I like that idea. I like that idea.
Or I guess it could be a 1, because like there could be.
No, 5 would be good. No,
I mean, there could be a 1 to 5 because it could be like, well, it is serving an underserved, but it's not specifically designed to, or.
No, I think something which, just basically it's a yes or no, and you would get an extra point or two if you're serving an underserved population. I think that would be fine. So that if
If
we
they're
had,
underserved, they need more than,
so it could, so then something like has limited benefits. It has limited benefits. It's, it's something that's going to happen and it's not bad, but because of, it has limited benefits for the community or something like that, then that,
How about has limited benefits? So 1 could be benefiting primarily a particular, primarily like a small, maybe we could say benefiting primarily a small part of the population or community.
yeah.
And then
particular- yeah.
3 could be, has limited benefits to the entire community.
Okay, yeah, I like
5
that.
would be of great benefit
Yeah,
to the entire
yeah,
community.
I think that works.
And then we could have a separate question about the underserved
Mm-hmm.
populations.
Mhm.
Yeah,
A little adder.
Benefiting primarily, I guess we could keep that one the same. Benefiting primarily a particular part or population of the community.
and then in addition, an additional bonus points thing somewhere where,
Yeah, so, I mean, we can renumber these. Oops. It's nerve-wracking doing this live on video here.
so you're doing very good. Doing a very good job.
All right, so I'm just gonna, oh geez. I'm just gonna copy this. And paste. Oh gosh, it put it over there? I think the track changes is making it go all weird
I'm
here.
wondering if we want to make these sort of like, if it's going to be a yes, no kind of a thing, do we want to like put it at the end rather than work it into choices?
say it again, Donna?
I'm wondering if a question like this, and we might come up with more of them, if we want to put them at the end as part of like the bonus points, the
Like
bonus.
a next section,
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay. I would go along with
And,
that.
and I don't have to read.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, so something at the end which says, extra, bonus point, it can only, it doesn't have to be more than 1 or 2 points, but the idea that,
Yeah, we can work on formatting later here, but I don't know why it's not letting me. It's like 2 columns, I think.
there we go.
Bonus points.
And just says, serves,
I think
Oh, is it a table?
I think that's how I.
It won't let me
I-
click. Oh, it did let me click.
That's why you get like the neat little things on the side to bring the numbers in, because it's a table.
Yeah. Well, I'll just do this for now and we can reformat it later. So do we want to say,
serves underrepresented population. Or an underserved population.
well, we probably don't want to say serves and underserved. Benefits,
Benefits, yeah.
directly benefits.
Thank you. This is Donna. Can I jump in for a minute?
Yeah,
So another thing with bonus points, I don't know if, one of the things we talked about being on this is applicant has an alternative plan if not fully funded.
Hmm.
Would that be something we'd want to put in bonus, or would we want to put it in like the regular? Because that's one of the questions we're going to ask next year. Do they
Yeah.
plan?
I don't know. I mean, I think in some ways, like if there's a project that is like a unique project that there really isn't another funding source, I don't know, some like weird little community project, and this is like the best way to do it. Like, I wouldn't want to give them fewer points because they're this like unique little project that doesn't have, you know, the alternative would just be not do it, I guess.
Right. But I still think that maybe this, if it's not in bonus, then it should be in the regular questions. Because like, you know, the pickleball, that was gonna be 4 pickleball courts. It turned into a study. You know, there are lots of times where if people couldn't do everything that they wanted to do, they came up with a way to do something. So I just feel like that should be recognized. I want to see like if people are going for it, that they have an idea to like move forward and they're not all or nothing. But we can save that for another time. I just,
That might be under, that might go under like function, you know, right? Where we have only 2 questions,
Yeah.
yeah,
like a number 3 on function.
okay.
Right.
Yeah, because they're,
Do we want to add that?
Are
well,
there alternatives kind of thing?
Well, I'd like to put a pin in it and keep going.
Yeah,
to Get through.
I'll just put a placeholder about
Yeah,
that.
yeah, thank you.
Alternatives for, okay, I'll just leave that there for now.
Thanks.
Okay, so this is why I said we might want another meeting, early July to get through, because we still got 2 other sections on our agenda tonight.
This is really helpful.
Okay, so the next one is level of risk. Number 1, haven't really explored potential risks. 3, appears to have average risk. Possibly needs more documentation. 5, research report, engineering study, or other paperwork. I guess that's what I was thinking about before. I don't know. I think for most projects in this last round, I did a 3. I was like, well, average risk, maybe they could give more documentation, but I don't know. I mean, no one really submitted like
right,
engineering designs.
Right.
Right. Although many of them did have them.
We
Right,
coaxed them
they
out eventually.
Right, they had the real plan, but like, you know, they knew exactly what was gonna happen. But it was a matter of like, when they put it out to bid, they're like, all right, now we can like extend the sidewalk 10 feet, or now we, you know, can put a roof on the barn, or.
And maybe this one's fine the way it is, because I think in our application last meeting, we added a question about like submitting plans and backing up, your budget. Like what are you basing your budget on? And so maybe this, I think that would, maybe we'll have a bit more varied
Yeah.
numbers this year for that one.
yeah, because I think the issue is not so much the amount of documentation as it is, have they thought the project through? And that's what we're really looking for. And if they thought the project through, but they don't have a lot of paperwork, but it's demonstrated that they thought it through,
Yeah.
then, you know,
But I guess that one's kind of number 3, thoroughness of planning. Whereas this
Yeah.
one is how risky is the project.
yeah.
Right. And this is Donna. This one confused me because we're talking about level of risk to whom? To
Yeah.
us because we're giving them money, or to the project itself, or to the environment? If they, I would actually suggest we just get rid of this one, quite frankly.
I think I was interpreting it as how risky is it for the CPA dollars to be used in a way that benefits the community? You know, like if we throw money at this, how much risk is there that it's not going to pay off for the community? That's how I interpret it.
Yeah, and I was thinking that it was how much risk is there that this thing won't happen? That, you know, it just hasn't, you know, it just doesn't have
Yeah.
everything it
Well,
needs.
maybe we don't need this one because we have
Yeah,
fairness of planning.
right,
And maybe
yeah.
that's what we really want.
Mhm.
So do we want to just get rid of that one?
I'm good with that.
Okay.
We can always, we don't have to like totally finalize everything tonight. So number 6 is enhancement of health, increases access to nature, improves work or educational environment of community. Number 1 is a wonderful addition, but doesn't enhance any of those. 3 adds to these subject areas in the immediate geographical community. And 5 would greatly enhance these subject areas for a significant segment of the city population.
Yeah, I think that's okay.
Yeah. Okay. 7, who will benefit, how and why? 1, adjacent to or serving low density, high income population. 3, adjacent to or serving middle income. Or 5, adjacent to or serving lower income population, where access to similar amenities is more difficult. I think that one's
I think
fine.
the only problem with that one is that they're all two-part
Yeah, because it could
questions,
be
right? What if you had a high density, high income?
or high
Right,
density, low income.
There's enough built-in assumptions in the question that it's not super helpful. I mean, if we want to just say like, is this in a high income area, middle income area, low income area?
It could be or low density or high income, because low density, it's not many people there, or high income, you know, they might, it says, or a high income population close to similar amenities.
I think Garth may be right if we knocked out the density question, because it may not, you know, you could have, you know, you could have something which doesn't have high density, but is perfectly fine. I think, yeah.
I think this is the only one that says anything about density.
Okay,
Right.
okay. All right.
Is this one significantly different from like, what was it, number 4 or something? It was like about the,
Benefit to community.
right, the benefits to the community, right? It's breaking down the points based on income and or perceived income versus, you know, a general community question.
Well, do we want to make this a bonus point question where it's basically what we're saying, what we're trying to say is if it serves a lower income population, that's a benefit, and put it in as a bonus point that it's particularly serving or adjacent to a lower income population, and just make it a bonus point question.
I like that.
I guess a question I have then is a lower income population an underserved population?
Might be, might not be. You could have,
We might need to define that.
Yeah, I was gonna say you need to define what an underserved population is. You could piggyback off of some other definition by some organization.
Yeah,
right, because underserved could be people in wheelchairs.
yeah.
Which is, and not necessarily a low income population, though many times it is. But a low income population is clear. And maybe because that's what we were trying to get at there, I think. So if we, bonus points for serving, you know, a low income population, you know, I mean, that maybe makes more sense than doing it the other way.
Well, or a population discriminated against. Too, I'm not saying we put that in there,
Yeah.
but
I guess I'm curious if that would fall under underserved population too.
I think so.
Yeah.
I guess what I'm thinking is if it is a low income population, are we always going to be giving the bonus points for low income and underserved? Because low income we would always say.
And what I'm saying is you could have something which is for disabled folks, which is not necessarily a low income population.
Yeah, oh, no, I know
Yeah,
you could have yes, underserved, no low income.
Low income.
But if you say yes, low income, then,
It's more likely
Is it
that
always
it's
gonna
more
be-
likely that they're underserved, but I don't have a problem with,
I mean, extra bonus points, I'm not saying it's a problem, I'm just
Right, no, no.
wondering if they are
Yeah,
too
right,
in line.
right. I'm just saying that I think there may be a difference.
Yeah.
Donna wants to say something, I've been shut.
Yeah.
You could hear me. So I feel like we get to this question with our bonus question, and so I don't think that we need it. And I also think that with our bonus question, we could say underserved or marginalized.
Oh, okay. Okay,
Just cut out that question.
yep, good, I like that. So then we could take that question out.
Okay. Oh, yeah, it is. Okay, so the next one is innovation and creativity. 1, good idea, but it's been considered previously, not a priority. 3, previously considered, but has not been approved. Or 5, innovative response to a concern and could enhance community in new ways. I feel like that one's probably fine.
Although,
Okay.
again, I found this one a little weird, has not been a priority that it, like, this either matches up with the, is it in a master plan? Or, right, maybe it's a priority, priority for whom, I guess, is the,
Yeah.
The
Well,
issue.
I guess the thing is if it's a good idea, that's already been considered, if it hasn't been done already, then I guess we're assuming it hasn't been a priority, because if it was a priority, it would have been done. But we could remove has not
but
been a
it's, I mean,
priority.
oftentimes, I mean, things sit in. I mean, I would then give a 1 to the housing project, because we've been considering housing for the last 20 years and we haven't done jack about it. It's been a priority, but nobody's found any money.
Yeah. So if we take that out, then it's good idea that has been considered previously. Well, this one's all about innovation and creativity. So if it's not an innovative solution, I mean, has there ever, for that project, for example, like, was there ever a project that, someone thought of to have the shelter and have the apartments, there in this managed shelter? And I mean, to me, that seemed innovative.
It is an
for
innovative,
Greenfield, at least.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
I mean, maybe that specific, housing obviously has been considered, but I don't know. That's how I interpreted it when I scored that project.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, I think it's not horrible, and like everybody's going to take their own idea on what's innovative and creative.
Yeah. Well, that's why we have a whole big group of us to score it.
Right.
And then we average our scores.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, we discuss it through, right? We're not
Yeah.
deciding it's just based on scores.
Yeah, yeah.
I think
Okay.
it's-
Does that look good for that one then?
Yeah.
Okay. So then the last one here, applicants' active participation in application process. 1, missed appointments, unresponsive. There's supposed to be an equal sign there. 3, attended at least 1 or more meetings, responded to concerns. 5, proactive, communicative, quick response to issues, effective.
I think the issue that we're trying to get at there, and maybe it's not that question, because I'm looking at it going, is that we're trying to get at, are these folks going to follow through? That's really the question that's there, is are they going to be able to work with us, or are they just, going to disappear? And maybe that's not a question we need for the scoring.
Yeah, I was gonna say this wasn't a very effective question because 90% of you put a 5 for all the projects for this one.
Yeah.
There was a couple, but then I didn't know what was causing them to not be a 5. So
And it could be that maybe there are projects in the future where people
Maybe.
are bad at making appointments and, maybe everyone gets a 5 until they start not doing well and then the points start going down. I don't know.
But I don't know that even if someone, I don't think this gets at what we're trying to, what the question is. Because to me, the question is, are these folks going to be able to follow through? And I don't think we do that in the scoring. I think that's something we have to,
Just feel it.
yeah, we have to, so.
So should we drop that question? You guys good with that? Garth, Donna?
Yeah, I mean, I think if they don't actually even show up at the meeting to present their project or, really send in anything,
Mhm.
I think we'll know about it. I don't think it's,
Yeah. Yes, I think we can drop it.
I don't think it's necessary to have a,
Whoops.
Don't want to drop everything.
Right.
It's weird because it's it's like it's a
the-
table and it's like in the same
Yeah.
cell.
you can right click and then it can still work. Oh, so you can right click and just delete the cell.
Yeah, oh yeah. But I think, we'll figure it out later.
Yeah.
I don't know what I just did. It's not showing the changes. Okay, so that gets to the end of that sheet then. Unless anyone,
I think that's a pretty good editing job.
these need to be renumbered. What, did I delete one here on accident?
It was fun.
Try changing how you're viewing the track changes.
Yeah,
The top all markup.
I was a level of risk. Oh,
Right.
okay. Thanks. Okay. So we reduced down to, well, if we add this one, I guess we'll have 9 alternatives if not fully funded. Do we want to move on to, what was next on the agenda? We had committee review / deciding which projects to fund.
Yeah, can I just say one thing while I'm thinking of it?
Yeah.
And it came out of the discussion that we just had. So it's not for this process, but sometime like coming up, I think that we should have some kind of way, a systematic way for the projects that are being carried out to report into us about their progress. So I think we should come up with some systematic thing, like when you said, oh my God, we're gonna have.
Yeah, and I think when I was looking at some other like grant agreements, I think they have like reporting requirements sometimes in those.
Yeah, there's going to be a reporting requirement. This one. See.
And hopefully there's like a reporting requirement, but also like if we ask you a question for an update, like you have to give us an update.
Yeah, and a reporting requirement, what does that mean? Like annually, like?
We'll see.
So here we go. The grantee shall provide the Greenfield CPC with a project status report every 3 months until the completion date, which shall detail the progress toward the completion of work.
Okay, good. Okay, I'm done.
Yeah, then it goes into detail what you should include.
Okay.
Good. Okay.
Great.
Did anyone want to see the scoring sheet again, or are we good on that for right now?
No, good.
Yeah, fine.
Okay.
I was thinking it might be good to skip to schedule / timing since you guys are
Yeah.
kind of running up on that now. If there's anything you need to change about that.
Okay. Schedule / timing. Yeah. So
Why don't we work from back? From
Work
the
backwards from the
end,
end.
work backwards from the end rather than trying to do.
okay. I have it like written down anyway. Trying to think if I have.
It's on the city website page for.
Oh, okay.
And we had some kind of
Oh,
form.
I got a period in there.
Welcome home.
Thanks. Yeah. I'm
It's on this page for the funding.
still got another day or so before.
Yeah.
This one.
At the bottom. But yeah, that was
Okay.
it evolved.
Okay,
There's-
okay,
So so our part ended in March with
Right.
voting on
Right.
project recommendations.
right. So basically, did we have enough time? Or do we need to, between the end of March, going backwards to, if we can really start doing reviews in December? We didn't really, we waited until January this last time.
Doing reviews, like having people come in and talk to them.
Yeah. Do we have enough, if we really start them in December, does that give us enough time to do what we need to do?
And we have to think about the uncertainty of how many projects there are going to be.
Right.
And I think, yeah, I kind of feel like one part that could be shortened is the pre-applications. Because at the beginning, we had like people coming in and talking, and I think that could be like one meeting where we just vote like all these projects meet the requirements, vote on it, or like we could go through them one by one.
That we don't have to have them come.
Yeah, I don't think we need to like come in
Yeah.
and talk to them, because in
Yeah.
the end, towards the end, we were like, oh, we don't need people to like give a presentation.
Right.
That'll be for later on.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I think
Okay, yeah, I think that's right. I think that's
that can be
right.
shortened.
I think that's right.
But we only had September to October. I mean, pre-applications due September 30th. And
Yeah,
then,
you had September if someone submitted it early.
yeah, which that didn't really happen.
Well,
but-
if we moved the pre-application due date, since it's fairly short,
Move it back.
move it to like September 15th.
Oh, September 15th. I guess we just have to think about like when our meetings are too.
Right,
and, like, are we
right.
gonna have 2 meetings in a month? Are we gonna have 1? I mean, we kind of got on like, we had to do 2 a month
Right.
because we didn't have enough time. If we
Right.
And like September 30th, that put it after our last meeting in September.
Yeah.
So we had to wait.
I guess I wonder about the meeting with applicants to discuss status of their application, like, what are we really doing there, since we have discussions with people after they submit?
Which one?
The September, October.
Oh, yeah.
And then the full application was due. And after the full application was due, then we had discussions with folks and we gave them opportunity to do things to,
Yeah. I guess the one thing we did with the pre-applications is we did say like, yes, this could be approved, but it's actually this type of project and not what you said it was.
Right.
And also, oh, you haven't gotten the recreation department to sign off on this yet, and they need to do that. So there is some feedback we
Yeah.
can give like from the pre-application.
right.
But
Do we need September and October to do it?
yeah, and also like they wouldn't necessarily have to mean like they were here and we had a discussion, like we could all decide on it and then send them letters. or
Right.
whatever.
Well, really, we
If we wanted to-
really take 2 months to do it because September 30th is when they were due.
Yeah, it was really just October,
October,
Yeah.
yeah.
and then
Right.
full applications were due in November.
I guess what I'm wondering is if we don't do, if we have in September, we get a pre-application, we then decide if there are issues, send that information to the people, by email or by a letter, whatever makes sense. Then we might be able to move the application due date to earlier, if not it's October, at least early in November, so that we could actually start doing review at the end of November.
Yes.
That's what I'm trying to think about.
Okay,
Right, if we can move it up to the 15th, right, sort of slide everything.
Like September
2 weeks earlier.
15th and November 15th.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Because that, I mean, if pre-applications due September 15th gives people a month and a half
Yeah.
to do pre-applications.
Yeah.
Which are very short and very simple.
Right.
Yeah, and we could give people feedback right away on the pre-application, given
Yeah.
what we saw, the kind of feedback we had to give them. We don't need to hold off on that. We could give it to them right away.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good idea to move that earlier. And plus December is really hard just because of all the people who are gone for vacation.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So if we could start our discussions in November, in our meetings in November.
You have Thanksgiving then too, though.
Yeah. Right. Well, we could, I mean, we
We can schedule around.
We could have a meeting earlier than Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And then that would give us applications to look at so that when we came back in December, we'd have our one meeting in December because of holidays and other things. But we'd actually be able to have some discussion, at least maybe talk about priorities or talk about, what we're looking at that's important or, that kind of stuff so that we could begin then discussions with people in January for real, but we've seen the applications. We didn't really see the applications until
December.
until way into December.
I like moving it earlier.
Does everyone agree on moving September 30th and November 30th to the 15th instead?
This is Donna. I'm fine with that. I would even try to move it even more quickly. Or skip a year and start in like June so that we don't compete with capital. But I know that's probably not a popular idea.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm fine with moving it up a couple of weeks. Maybe over time we can keep inching our way backwards.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, we might not want to give too much of a shock if like people are counting on the same schedule for next year and then, oh, now it's a month earlier, if we moved it way up.
So for the notes, I want to make sure that I get this clear. Pre-apps, September 15th. And then finals on what, November 1st?
We were saying November 15th,
Okay.
'cause that would move it up 2 weeks.
And then the idea is that we would, with the pre-apps, we would send written responses to their applications, something which would say, looks good, go ahead, or,
We did do that this year too.
right, but,
I signed the form, the pre-app forms, because we had a spot for us to sign. And then I put notes in there, like what we had discussed in the meeting, that like, oh, this is actually this kind of recreation project
Yeah.
instead.
so then the idea of meeting with applicants, we could remove. In September and October, we could
Yeah.
remove that.
Yeah. So it's 6:59 right now.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, we do still have 3 and 4 to talk about. Do we want to do that after our public hearing at the end of July? Or do people want to try to have an early July meeting and then? Because really we could, we'll have our public hearing. We'll announce, if we go by that schedule, then like beginning of August, announce that the funds are available. So then our August meeting, we could talk about this stuff too. And then finalizing, I think do we need to finalize a plan for each year? I think we do, right? Like we have our plan and then we can discuss if there are updates we want to make to like the priorities based on what we learned in our public hearing.
Right,
I believe that's correct.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And then we can vote
That's
on
right.
doing that
Yeah.
before we start reviewing. So
Yeah.
I think we could, I think maybe we'll have to do things a little quicker, but I think we did the hardest parts already for these 5.
I think you're right.
Yeah,
So do we want to just not meet again until our public hearing meeting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. And I think that if, good. I'm sorry, I talked over.
Sorry, Garth, what'd you say?
No, I was just gonna say, like, July is probably gonna be tough to squeeze in an extra one with holiday weeks, right? Or 2 weeks out
Yeah.
from July 4th and
Yeah.
Okay, so then,
If we could make the priority for that meeting outreach, because if we're going to do anything in August, we need
Yeah.
to talk about what that is.
yeah,
That would,
okay.
okay.
So I guess if there are no,
Well, I want to bring up one of the.
yeah, go for it.
And this is what we were talking about even before the meeting started. Being concerned about absences. And I think that, yeah, I'd like to put that on the agenda
Okay,
at some point.
yeah, talk about,
Yeah, because hopefully if we're going to get new members, we'd get them early enough, like close, soon, so they can know
yeah.
what's going on by when we're doing the application.
Yeah, I mean, planning board, so I guess that's a good segue into, Giannis isn't on the committee anymore. Dave resigned from the planning board.
Dear.
So this would have been his last meeting tonight, so we don't have Dave.
That's too bad.
I don't know if he didn't resign.
Oh, he just didn't,
His term, he's not
his
re-upping.
term ended, yeah, and he didn't re-up it.
Okay.
He didn't want to do that, so, so we'll have to get a new planning board representative as well,
Right.
but that's up to them to vote on.
I don't know if I've been reappointed of yet. Haven't heard back from them.
I think
Theory
you
behind it.
were on council last night, I believe. I didn't watch
Was
the
it?
meeting.
Okay,
I think you were on the agenda though. Yeah,
okay,
because I had to correct it because they had you listed as a council appointee, but you were a mayoral appointee. So I was involved with
Right.
that.
cool, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, so, yeah, I guess if we could add something about absences, committee member absences, to talk about at the next meeting.
Absences / recruitment.
Yeah, and
Right.
so far I haven't heard anything about a new mayoral appointment, for Giannis. Yeah, so,
And she's well aware of that?
the mayor, yeah.
Yeah, I think they do occasionally do like posting like here's the committees that have absences. I think on the most recent one, it was because they knew about Giannis a while ago, so that they are already posting saying.
I posted stuff on Facebook and said, hey, if anyone wants to do it. So, yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So then I guess our next meeting is July 27th. I know that we are public hearing, and I guess if, I think we already discussed this, but it sounds like everyone's good with me just updating our presentation. And I might, bounce it off of Christian and we'll just do that.
And do we know enough about the dates that we can give people in the audience?
I mean, I think we just decided on what the
Okay,
dates are.
so
gonna
we'll be sure to give that to the.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, the updated dates. So I'll work on that and
Super.
see everyone there.
And we have John's on.
Yep.
Sounded like it. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Okay.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All right, all those in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
All right, that is unanimous. We're adjourned at 7:04 PM. Thank you, everybody.
Okay.